A desperate search after a jet ski overturns in the water off Bluffers Park.
A woman rescued, and nearly 24 hours later, a man is still missing. Tonight, the effort to find him and what officials fear is now a recovery effort. Good evening. Search boats have been out on the water of Lake Ontario all day.
Police say the couple was on a rented jet ski when they ended up in the water. She had a life jacket, he did not, and neither one of them could swim. CTV's John Musselman has been following this story. He joins us live now from the water with the latest. John.
Oh, Michelle, that'll be part of the investigation by police, whether there were enough life jackets with this jet ski, where it was rented from. That will all be looked into. Meanwhile, today there was boats on the water all day looking for this man, and still no sign of him. Officers with the Toronto Police Marine Unit and the Canadian Coast Guard spend most of the day searching the water near Bluffers Park for any signs of a missing man. Police say the man in his 20s was not wearing a life jacket when he fell off a jet ski around 9:15 last night. A woman on the back of the jet ski was wearing a life jacket. She survived and was rescued by another jet ski nearby.
Both of them, my understanding is, can't swim well, but there's a life jacket in place, and my understanding is the operator had obviously given the life jacket to the female, and then obviously the female was able to live, and unfortunately the male himself obviously weren't able to swim. As a result of this tragedy occurred, and unfortunately we're still looking for him.
The lake was dark at the time. It's believed they were thrown from the jet ski after hitting a wave. The jet ski was rented from a local operator. Police say any details regarding the number of life jackets provided and proper licensing will be part of the police investigation.
I'm sure we'll discover as we move along in terms of the nature of this, how the rental will come into play.
Meanwhile, beachgoers today looked on as boats and a helicopter searched for the missing man.
You're right, doing recreational stuff, and things can just turn for the worst. Right?
Well, it's really sad. I mean, it's a very protected beach, as you can see. Normally people just come here to have some fun, so I guess I'm really surprised of the situation as well.
Police began the search last night. The victim's family was waiting in a nearby parking lot for any news from police. At this point, it appears to be a recovery operation, considering how many hours have passed since the incident happened last night. And we did see a helicopter about a half hour ago going up and down the shoreline. No boats at the moment, so we're not sure what the progress is on this search and if it's been called for the day. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. And some terrifying moments for transit riders on the morning commute. 2 people were stabbed on board a streetcar near College and Bathurst. It happened around 8:30 when police say a male suspect got into an argument with a woman. When he tried to pull her off the streetcar, another man attempted to intervene. And that's when both he and the woman were stabbed. They were taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. 42-year-old Patrick St. Dennis was arrested nearby and is facing a number of charges, including attempted murder and assault with a weapon. And the new CEO of the TTC released a statement on social media following the incident this morning. Mandeep Lally writes in part, "The safety of everyone in our system is paramount. I've reached out to Toronto Police to offer our full support as they investigate this incident. While the circumstances leading to this are under investigation, I share everyone's concerns when something like this happens on TTC property. We extend our thoughts to the victims and anyone who witnessed it. We encourage anyone with information to share it with police."
Breaking news from Brampton now, where there's been a deadly crash involving a motorcycle. This happened on Heritage Road near Beauvert Drive. Peel police say the person on the motorcycle collided with a second vehicle and the motorcyclist died there at the scene. This crash happened before 5 p.m. and police are asking motorists to avoid the area as they investigate. An 18-year-old accused in a crash that killed father of 3 Andrew Castillo was denied bail this morning.
The teen is also suspected in a collision involving Premier Doug Ford earlier this year. As CTV's John Woodward reports, the Castillo family wishes he'd faced harsher restrictions after his first crash.
Today, justice took one step in the right direction.
Jordan Castillo reacting in the wake of a decision that keeps the man alleged to have killed his brother Andrew behind bars for now. Andrew Castillo died in a head-on collision. His 3 daughters seriously injured earlier in August. Charged with dangerous driving, causing death, and fleeing the scene, 18-year-old Jaywin Kirubananthan. That driver had faced a dangerous driving charge before, back in January, when he was accused of hitting the vehicle carrying Ontario's Premier, Doug Ford, on Highway 401. Kirubananthan did get a 30-day driving suspension for a Highway Traffic Act charge of stunt driving, but he was legally able to drive when he allegedly hit the Cristillos. On Monday morning, Kirubananthan held his head in his hands as Justice of the Peace Karen Valentine said she would deny his bail.
Do you have any thoughts on your son remaining in custody after what happened?
Kirubananthan's father, attending court, didn't have much to say to us.
The family's devastated.
The accused lawyer, Barry Fox, believes this decision isn't the final word.
He's detained in custody until his trial or until a review is brought before Superior Court to see if he can be released.
Is that something you're considering?
Yes.
Thanks to a pretrial publication ban, we can't tell you the arguments in the bail hearing or the reasons in the decision of Justice of the Peace Karen Valentine. Two of the Cristillo girls have had birthdays since the crash without their dad. Their mom still fighting late-stage breast cancer without her husband.
This doesn't bring my brother back. That's why we need Andrew's Law to prevent dangerous drivers from getting back behind the wheel and preventing these tragedies to other families like yours.
An online fundraiser for the girls has raised more than $500,000, and a petition for Andrew's Law has gathered more than 18,000 signatures. John Woodward, CTV News.
Police have provided new information in their investigation into a shooting that killed an 8-year-old boy at a North York apartment last weekend. Homicide detectives have released images of a vehicle of interest believed to be a white Acura. They've not said how they believe this car was involved or where and when it was last seen. 8-year-old Jave Roy was in bed with his mother on August 16th when shots were fired. The bullets unleashed towards their building on Martha Eaton Way near Black Creek Drive and Trethewey. The boy was struck by a stray bullet and rushed to hospital where he died. Police are asking anyone with information about the vehicle's whereabouts to come forward.
Also tonight, you see them everywhere these days, sharing the roads, but not always following the rules. Police target electronic scooters and e-bikes as they aim to crack down on bad behavior and prevent tragedy.
And whether you were zipping around on 2 wheels, 4, or on foot, not a bad day. You may have seen some rain today, yet there's been a decent dose of sunshine. We're getting it this hour. The big headline on the weather front, as far as I'm concerned, is the temperature. It's cooled right down. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. What are you seeing, Lindsay?
You know, Michelle, we struggled to make it to 20 degrees today. We got there after all, but yes, it is going to be a below average week as far as any warmth is concerned. Here, we'll begin first with a look at the satellite and radar. We have had on and off showers today, heavy at times, in fact, some cloudy periods, but it is nice to see the sun at this hour. Winds are coming out of the northwest and they are gusting close to about 50 kilometers per hour right now. And you'll notice that many communities in southern Ontario remain in the teens at this hour. We're at 20 though in Toronto. Another big Oasis concert happening this evening, and unlike folks who were there last night and got soaked, the weather should be a little drier for this evening, but also a little bit cool. We'll take you through a full look at the 7-day forecast coming up. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. And on that note, yes, the stage is set for yet another very big night at Rogers Stadium. British brothers and band members of Oasis getting ready to thrill fans for the second night in Toronto.
It's all part of their long-awaited reunion tour. And while concert goers may be excited, people who live near the venue maybe not so much. CTV's Raheem Ladani joins us live with the details. Raheem.
Hey, Nathan, we're just beside Downsview Park subway station, and throngs of people have been making their way towards the stadium for a couple of hours now. Oasis isn't scheduled to hit the stage until 8:45 p.m., and so it's happily going to be a long and loud night for those who are in attendance, but for those who live nearby, these concerts can't end quick enough. Playing their hits in front of an estimated 50,000-person crowd, fans rocked out to the brothers, Liam and Noel Gallagher, standing in the pouring rain, soaking up every moment.
Absolutely great. Really fun.
It was worth the rain, 100%. What a show.
Amazing show.
The last time we saw these guys was probably 1997, so almost 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Worth the wait.
Worth the wait.
Oasis.
The show at Rogers Stadium last night was the start of the North American leg of the Oasis tour. The band hasn't played in Toronto since 2008, and this is the only Canadian stop.
There are just so many people who are in the same vibe, enjoying the music. It was so great.
However, as the band prepares to be back on the stage tonight, neighborhood residents continue to be frustrated by the traffic and noise disruptions the venue's summer concerts are having. The city has previously said all events have been compliant with permitted noise levels, but the area councillor says the stadium is too loud. James Pasternak writes in a statement, "These concerts can be heard miles away, and we feel the venue operator can turn down the volume significantly and still offer a strong concert experience. Something must be done. Just because it is technically in compliance does not mean it meets acceptable levels for the community."
None of us are against sound, but what we don't like is the noise and when it keeps us up. And so that's where that happy medium, I think a lot more resident engagement needs to be involved. Plus, there's things that we can do. There's sound level limiters. There's all kinds of ways that we can mitigate the sound, especially the low bass frequencies. We can put earplugs in for our ears, but there's nothing we can do to mitigate vibration. We can't ignore that, and that's one of the biggest complaints.
CTV News has reached out to Live Nation, which operates the venue, for a response, but has not heard back. The city tells us that they do debrief after every event to see where improvements can be made. After tonight's show, 3 more concerts are scheduled to be held at this stadium next month. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Raheem. And a note for subway riders, there are some early closures on a stretch of Line 1 this week. Starting at midnight tomorrow, trains will stop running between Shepherd West and St. Clair West stations. This closure will be in place through Friday with shuttle buses running. The TTC says regular subway service will resume around 6 each morning.
And a reminder, summer service on GO bus lines to attractions like Canada's Wonderland and the Toronto Zoo has ended. Seasonal bus service to post-secondary campuses is set to return on Saturday. Metrolinx will also shift departure times across its network heading into September in order to better reflect actual travel times.
We now turn to efforts to keep our streets safe as the number of people using so-called micromobility vehicles continues to grow.
Toronto Police kicking off a safety campaign focused on the rules of the road when it comes to things like e-scooters, e-bikes, and bicycles. CTV multimedia journalist Corey Baird has the details.
Whether you're getting around on 2 wheels or 4, commuting in Toronto can be a chore. The arrival of electronic bikes and scooters offered a lot of promise for some, but seems to have resulted in just as many problems for others.
I don't think it's actually legal for them to drive on the sidewalks, and I see it all the time.
They tend to forget that the sidewalk is for pedestrians. I'm so fed up with them right now, it's unreal.
Toronto police have heard the complaints loud and clear.
The horses have left the barn. We've now gone back to close the doors.
Police say this year they've already responded to 98 collisions between micromobility vehicles, also known as electronic bikes or scooters, and cars. In the past 2 months, 2 e-bike drivers have died of injuries sustained in crashes.
And it's not just police sounding alarm bells. In June, physicians at Sick Kids Hospital told CTV News that accidents involving children using e-bikes and scooters have tripled in the last 2 years.
The speeds that these scooters can reach so quickly, the acceleration that's found within these, much like an electric car, is unlike anything we've ever seen.
Every month is 2, 3 tickets, sometimes 4 tickets.
This food courier works 11 hours a day and fears a crackdown could threaten his livelihood. A recent ticket for a helmet violation cost him more than $100, nearly half of what he spends to rent his e-bike every month.
Police say me, you go to in a challenge in court, but I don't go to challenge.
With kids going back to school next week, police say it's time to ensure electronic bikes and scooters stay in their lanes and obey established rules of the road.
A big piece of this is education for a lot of them because, A, they haven't really been told about the rules of the road before they purchased it, and secondly, this is their livelihood.
Adding to the confusion, classification. Standing e-scooters are only legal on private property, but rules around pedal-based e-bikes vary based on weight and motor power. City Council is expected to debate new regulations in early 2026. Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
Premier Doug Ford says his government will introduce legislation to ban experimental testing on dogs and cats. He made the announcement this morning after whistleblowers with the group Animal Justice raised concerns about dogs being used for cardiac tests at the Lawson Research Institute at St. Joseph's Healthcare in London. It sparked a University of Toronto investigation which claimed the animals were used for tests and killed before being further examined.
You can't be experimenting on dogs. They're part of our families, or cats. You know, go with the mice, go with the rats, no problem. But these are pets, and these are, no, it's done. You can't do it anymore. Now I'm going to start looking for everyone else. If there's anyone else out there that's doing this to animals, come clean, because we're going to catch you. And it's just terrible. You can tell I'm an animal lover, but it's just terrible.
The Lawson Research Institute announced it was ending all testing on dogs following the U of T investigation.
In Scarborough, a cleanup is underway after a sewage spill in Taylor-Massey Creek. Ontario's Environment Ministry received multiple calls Friday for a spill from the stormwater outfall at Warden and St. Clair. The ministry says its staff attended the site on the same day and met with officials from Toronto Water to begin a cleanup. Toronto Water confirms the overflow was caused by a blockage in the sanitary sewer at Hymas Road. The blockage was cleared later in the day on Friday. The containment effort continues.
We turn now to the wildfires. And New Brunswick is lifting most of the restrictions imposed on access to Crown land. The change is being made because of recent cooler weather and a dedicated effort by all to beat the fires.
I want to thank New Brunswickers for their cooperation, for changing their plans, and for making the effort to protect our forests and our communities. And I want to thank the firefighters, the pilots, the staff at EMO, the public safety staff and natural resources teams who have been working non-stop for the past 16+ days to protect our province and its people.
Access to forests was banned to reduce the risk of more wildfires erupting, but that measure will end at 12:01 a.m. local time. A restriction on some forest industry activities on Crown land will remain in place. There are 18 active wildfires in New Brunswick, including 3 that are still out of control. In Nova Scotia,
several homes have been damaged in Annapolis Valley, where an evacuation order was issued. The Long Lake wildfire has grown to more than 77 square kilometers and continues to burn out of control. There's also an air quality warning in the area because of the smoke. On the west coast, a prolonged heat wave in BC could whip up wildfire activity this week.
the Prime Minister continues to shore up alliances amid Canada's trade war with the U.S.
Mark Carney spent much of today in Poland, where he announced a new strategic partnership. CTV's Abigail Beeman has the details.
The maple leafs on your shoulders, they feel hope.
Prime Minister Mark Carney stressed to Canadian troops in Warsaw and European leaders, Canada is ready to spend big on defense.
We will quadruple our spending on defense between now and the end of the decade.
Not only promising to meet NATO's 2% of GDP spending target by this year, but the new target of 5% by 2030.
We have your backs. We're serious about this.
Carney bringing his defense minister along to many European meetings, including the trip to Ukraine, which marks a shift from the past.
I think what it indicates is that the landscape has changed. I think Canadians know that the landscape has changed, that the geopolitics are changing, but the threat landscape has changed.
David McGuinty says Canada's defense plan needs diversification.
We're not only making a diplomatic visit, but we're really interested in diversifying our alliances and our defense investments, and having Minister McGuinty there puts an exclamation point behind that.
Diversification. We've heard that word a lot from the Prime Minister about trade, too, given the trade war with the United States.
Poland needs reliable partners that are ready to cooperate closely in the nuclear energy sector, and also as regards RES, renewable energy sources.
Poland has the fastest growing economy in the EU, and the two leaders recommitted to an agreement signed last year, but now focusing on trade, energy, and defense.
Our trade relationship last year grew by something like 22% in a single year. So the appetite is really there. It also means that people are kind of knocking on our door more.
And from Warsaw, the Prime Minister ends his day here in Berlin with a full day Tuesday focused on those same themes, deepening trade and defense ties. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Berlin.
Meanwhile, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc will travel to Washington tomorrow. Dominic LeBlanc is set to meet with U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick sometime this week. No exact date's been scheduled yet. The visit follows Ottawa's announcement on Friday that it will be dropping some retaliatory tariffs on American products to match U.S. exemptions for goods covered under CUSMA. LeBlanc has said the counter tariffs were a major sticking point in talks ahead of U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to increase duties on Canada to 35% earlier this month.
In the Middle East, Palestinian health officials say Israeli strikes on a hospital in southern Gaza killed 20 people today. Medical officials say Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis was struck twice, minutes apart. 5 journalists were among those killed. The Canadian government says it is horrified by what it calls an unacceptable Israeli strike on the hospital. There is condemnation from others, including the UN, where a spokesperson delivered a statement on behalf of the Secretary General.
He calls for a prompt, impartial investigation into these killings. He reiterates that medical personnel and journalists must be able to perform their essential duties without interference, without intimidation, and without harm, and in full accordance with international humanitarian law. The Secretary General reiterates his call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, unfettered humanitarian access across Gaza, and for the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages being held in Gaza.
The Israeli Prime Minister's office says the strike was a, quote, tragic mishap, and the military is investigating.
Canada is endorsing a UN-backed finding that famine is occurring in Gaza and is urging Israel to stop ramping up its campaign in the Palestinian territory. Ottawa says it is deeply alarmed by the horrific deteriorating conditions in Gaza and insists Israel is failing to live up to its obligations under international law. The Israelis reject such accusations and note they've allowed an uptick in aid trucks reaching the territory after massive global pressure. But aid groups say what's being allowed in is still insufficient. A report Friday by the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification said famine is occurring in and around Gaza and is likely to spread.
A typhoon made landfall in Vietnam today, bringing rain and flooding in coastal provinces. The storm hit the central coast with winds of up to 117 kilometers per hour. It struck during high tides that caused flooding in 2 provinces. State media reported one man was killed on Friday while trying to secure his roof ahead of the storm. Its rapid strengthening forced authorities to rush emergency measures. Tens of thousands of people were evacuated and schools and airports closed. The storm is expected to move inland into Laos in northern Thailand.
Coming up, capturing the magic of the Midway. Nearly 50 years on the job at the CNE. Meet the man who's had a front row seat to fun.
We wanted to bring you up to speed on what's happening in the Atlantic when it comes to hurricane season. This is Tropical Storm Fernand, not expected to have impact on land once again, so veering out to sea. Meanwhile, closer to home here in southern Ontario, we've got this stubborn trough that's going to keep us cool and unsettled. But there is a nice day in the short range. We'll show you which one coming up. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
There were calls at Toronto City Hall today to tackle the problem of youth homelessness.
It comes amid continued strain on our city's shelter system. CTV's Beth McDonnell has the details.
Every young person in Toronto truly deserves that same opportunity.
Speaking up at the first Youth Homelessness Summit, more than 100 young people and dozens of organizations came together at City Hall. Michael Zarathas Cook experienced homelessness at 17.
Staying in the shelter itself was an 18-month period, which was incredibly important for me to just get my bearings. I was in school at that time, so making sure I stayed in school.
He says it took him about a decade to stand on his feet again and credits a variety of services and arts groups who opened spaces to him.
That it's not just about being homeless, it's about what happens immediately in the days afterwards, in the weeks, months, years afterwards. How do you build community? How do you find a job? How do you build a career that lasts?
Consulting with youth and tapping into experiences to problem solve is a big part of the summit.
The system is not built for them. They face long wait lists for shelters, unfair evictions, discrimination, lack of support, and unstable jobs that make it nearly impossible for them to pay rent.
This summer, the city's Street Needs Assessment report found 1,500 youth experience homelessness on any given night in Toronto, a group now making up 10% of the city's shelter population. To prevent youth homelessness and break cycles of poverty, Toronto's Youth Council and organizations are calling for a youth-specific strategy. They want to see targeted employment programs, a youth lived experience advisory committee to guide city policies, and better data management to track outcomes. Some work, they say, can be done immediately.
It's about having conversations with young people immediately to go, hey, do you have some other options, right? Because coming into the shelter system is not generally a good thing, right? So what can we help you with? Do you have family? Do you have extended family? Is there some family counseling or mediation we can do? Do you need some support for rent, first and last? These types of things. And they have been shown to be really effective.
They say the time for bold action is now, as 1/3 of chronically homeless adults were also homeless in their youth. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
All right, to the forecast, you would hope summer vacation would end strong with like hot temperatures, but it's a little cooler, but comfortable.
Not bad, yeah. It could be warmer. We did get so much heat this summer that we shouldn't be so upset. But this is the last hurrah for a lot of people where we get into an all-new routine next week and you start to feel those nights a lot cooler. And it's like, let's have summer last.
Yeah, the nights and the mornings. It's the type of week where you're probably going to need a light sweater. I can't believe we're talking about sweater weather already. But here we are. It is the end of August. This isn't exactly atypical. But yes, in a summer like what we've had, it sure feels like a change. Let me show you what it looked like a little earlier today. We've had changeable weather conditions today, varying amounts of sun and cloud and some downpours at times too. Scattered showers making their way through the lower Great Lakes. We still have a fair amount of cloud cover in some parts of southern Ontario and central parts of the province too, like around Muskoka, for example. Temperature-wise, we did manage to make it to 20 degrees in Toronto. That's where we sit right now. That's nice because for a minute there, it was looking like we were going to remain in the teens. Yesterday, we climbed to almost 26 degrees. The norm for this time of year is 24. Tomorrow, once again, we are going to be a little cooler than normal. And really, that's the pattern through much of this week. Overnight tonight, some communities, Waterloo, Peterborough, Bancroft, slipping into single-digit territory. 12 is our forecast low in Toronto. Average overnight low this time of year is 15, so yes, on the cool side once again. And then tomorrow, similar conditions to today. Chance of showers, mainly cloudy skies at times, and breezy once again with west winds gusting to about 40 kilometers per hour. I'll go ahead and remind you that our average daytime high this time of year is 24 degrees, so just about everyone below seasonal tomorrow. 21 degrees in Oakville, 20 in Whitby, and similar for you in Georgina, Minden, hanging out in the teens, 16 degrees for a high tomorrow. So here's a look, a big picture look at our satellite and radar. You can actually make out the spin of this low. We've had a few lake effect rain showers as a result of the rotation of that low. We'll zoom in a little bit closer. Starting to clear out quite nicely in the GTA. We are enjoying sun, but see this cluster of storms impacting areas just near Lake Huron as well as Georgian Bay in through Muskoka and even around Niagara. You had some wet weather not long ago. How does this play out? Tomorrow, there's a snapshot of tomorrow afternoon. Chance of showers once again, not a washout, but a widespread area seeing the potential for that scattered rain. Into Wednesday, this looks like a lovely day. Lots of sunshine, temperatures a couple of degrees warmer, but look what's coming for Thursday. This is the kind of day where you're going to want the umbrella. It will be unsettled. The next 3 at the CNE look like this. Again, I think Wednesday is the day to get out and enjoy. There will be more days, though. We just have to get through periods of rain at times on both Thursday and Friday. Once again, Friday is a little cool. The daytime high near 21 degrees, brighter skies, and hopefully some warmer temperatures into the long weekend. There's your early look at Labor Day, a high of 23 degrees on Monday. That's the forecast for now. Michelle, over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Also tonight, a specialized mental health program tailored to the Chinese-Canadian community abruptly shut down. Just ahead, our health reporter Pauline Chan on the outcry and the reasoning behind the move.
There are concerns tonight about the end of a mental health program tailored specifically to the Chinese community.
It was run by the University Health Network and has now been folded into a general mental health program. As CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan explains, it's left patients confused and angry.
Joy Luck recalls her parents urging her to drink some dust from their ancestral shrine to rid her of her blindness.
It is so nonsense, but for Chinese, it is so common.
And she found lack of cultural sensitivity also hampered her efforts to find treatment for her particular form of depression in Toronto.
I have seen more than 10 psychiatrists. They could just speak English. And then I found that they really could not understand what I am saying.
Her kind of struggles are why the Asian Initiative in Mental Health, or AIM, was founded in 2002. It was located at the University Health Network's Toronto General Hospital and Toronto Western. But on June 18th, it was abruptly closed, folded into the general outpatient mental health services at UHN.
We made the change on a specific day, and as soon as that was made, we reached out as a hospital to all of the patients that were accessing care.
Luck and many other patients say they received no such communication, calling the lack of consultation before the transition disrespectful or even racist.
I am somebody who has published on the value of culturally adapted care widely. I know that it needs to be standard care.
UHN says standardizing access to care will benefit not just the Chinese, but many equity-deserving groups.
The wait times for the AIM program were 4 months. This change will bring the wait time down to 4 weeks. And that's simply because patients will have access to more mental health care providers.
A petition now bearing hundreds of signatures is calling for the restoration of the AIM program, while a meeting was arranged with the hospital for today.
The hour-and-a-half-long meeting included several representatives from the hospital as well as from the Chinese community, with UHN aiming to reassure the community.
It is disappointing because they still do not want to acknowledge the problem they have caused in disruption of care.
Dr. Tedlow questions their ability to improve care for the GTA's almost 700,000 Chinese Canadians, especially when 4 of the staff clinicians from AIM have been cut.
I would ask them to allow us to do the time to assess the positive impact that this transition is going to have.
The two sides say they will be meeting again. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
If you're trying to quit smoking, vaping is not the way to do it. That's according to new guidelines from the Canadian Task Force for Preventative Health Care.
We lack the long-term data on the safety of e-cigarettes. They're not specifically designed for smoking cessation, so we don't know as well as we do for other approaches that they can actually lead to quitting smoking. We also don't want to get into a situation where we're switching one dependency or one addiction for another. So because there are so many preferable options, we are deciding to recommend against e-cigarettes.
Those preferable options include nicotine replacements such as inhalers, patches, and gum, as well as behavioral interventions like counseling groups. Smoking rates have declined in recent years, but tobacco remains the leading cause of preventable disease and death in Canada.
Toronto's Octoberfest has been canceled for this year. A note on the festival's website says it'll be taking a break in 2025 in order to return stronger in 2026. The message says that because of funding restraints, it has made the difficult decision to pause the event for this year. The note goes on to say the festival will definitely be back in 2026.
We're heading into the final stretch of the X, and the crowds keep coming.
And for almost 50 years, a Canadian photographer has been capturing the magic of the Midway at the Canadian National Exhibition. CTV's Jessica Smith has his story.
Here's people, they can imagine what it looked like or what it felt like where they were experiencing their day down at the CNE, and they can kind of put yourself into those photos.
Almost everyone who makes their way through the annual end of summer fair has their own CNE story. For
For Scooter Cork, Vice President of Client Services at North American Midway Entertainment and photographer, his spans nearly 50 years.
You know, I've been hanging around the C&E for 49 years. Most of those years I had a camera by my side. So, you know, luckily I've been able to catch a little bit of the C&E history over that period.
The sights, sounds, smells, and thrills of over 4 decades of fun, all captured one frame at a time in a new photo exhibition titled C&E in Color.
You know, that's part of the fun of the ride, you know, is that you can share it with somebody else and have a fantastic ride.
Memories turned into moments frozen in time, creating a shared experience that spans generations.
The C&E and the exhibition has been a huge part of culture in Toronto. The grounds that are here are our heritage grounds, and it creates a community.
Getting ready to celebrate 50 years of magic at the Midway next year, Cork plans to continue capturing C&E stories.
I'm not much one of a guy for milestones, so I'm just going to keep on coming. I think I have one of the best jobs in the entire world.
The C&E in Color exhibit will be here at the Withrow Common Gallery all the way through until September 1st. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
After the break, a 2-year drought comes to an end. Canada's own Brooke Henderson hoisting the trophy on home soil, back on top, capping a summer of sensational local women dominating on the world stage.
It's a very protected beach, as you can see. Normally people just come here to have some fun, so I guess I'm really surprised of the situation as well.
Updating our top stories, crews have been searching the water near Bluffers Park for a missing man. He fell off a jet ski last night. A woman on the back of the craft who was wearing a life jacket was rescued by another jet ski nearby. The jet ski was rented, and any details regarding the number of life jackets provided will be part of the investigation.
I don't think it's actually legal for them to drive on the sidewalks, and I see it all the time.
Toronto police have begun a safety campaign focused on so-called micromobility vehicles like electronic bikes and scooters. There have been complaints about bad behavior on the vehicles. Officers have responded to 98 collisions with cars, and accidents involving children using the devices have tripled in 2 years.
Absolutely great. Really fun.
It was worth the rain, 100%. What a show.
Amazing show.
Oasis is playing a second near sold-out show at Rogers Stadium tonight. The band kicked off the North American leg of the tour last night, part of a musical reunion many thought would never happen. Toronto is the only Canadian stop on the tour that heads to the U.S. next.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca and by downloading the CTV News app.
There's a push by some shareholders to make Cineplex a more valuable company. B&M Bloomberg's Lindsay Biscaya has tonight's business report.
One of the largest shareholders of Cineplex is pressuring the company to buy back its shares. Windward Management is also calling on Cineplex to sell non-core assets and prepare for an outright sale, arguing the stock could nearly triple to $30 a share. Some key fertilizer stocks rose today after the U.S. Department of the Interior announced it is considering adding copper and potash to its critical minerals list. It would make projects eligible for federal funding and can streamline permitting for exploration, mining, and processing. Currently, about 80% of potash that the U.S. imports is from Canada. Elon Musk's artificial intelligence startup xAI is suing Apple and OpenAI. The lawsuit is accusing them of locking up markets in an anti-competitive scheme. Apple has a partnership with OpenAI and has integrated its AI platform, ChatGPT, into iPhones, iPads, and Macs. And here's a look at how the trading day ended today. Another dip for the Canadian dollar, putting it just over 72 cents US. West Texas Intermediate is up, ending the day at 64.80. Western Canadian Select is also up 17 cents to 50.77. And the TSX dropped 163 points to 28,169. Those are your business headlines. I'm Lindsay Biscaya.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Air Canada customers looking to file a complaint over their experience during the recent flight attendant strike should be prepared to wait. The Canadian Transportation Agency says its backlog of air travel complaints stood at about 85,000 as of August 14th. That was 2 days before the Air Canada strike began. The backlog has since been growing since the federal government passed rules that came into force in 2019 that set compensation amounts for flight delays, cancellations, and the like.
Meanwhile, CUPE says Canada Post canceled the meeting planned for the two sides today. The union, representing 55,000 workers, says it was because the Crown Corporation needs more time to review the latest offers. There's no indication when negotiations will resume. Earlier this month, CUPE rejected the employer's latest offer in a majority vote. It's maintaining its national ban on overtime.
It has been an incredible year so far for Canadian women in sport, and now yet another major win to celebrate.
Golfer Brooke Henderson won her second Canadian Open this weekend and marked a major comeback for her. CTV's John Rao has more.
For Brooke Henderson, it was a moment to embrace after a masterful performance on home soil.
The comeback is complete.
The pride of Smith Falls, Ontario, back on top and showing once more why she's Canada's most successful golfer ever.
This week was beyond special. To be able to finish it off and hoist the trophy again is extremely cool. It feels super surreal still.
The win marking her 14th on the LPGA Tour and ending a 2-year drought. She first won the Canadian Women's Open in 2018, and to do it again at age 27 is remarkable.
I'm just super excited that this actually happened. It's like a dream come true again.
You can't help but reflect on how, the young up-and-coming talent has been inspired by Brooke's accomplishments.
Look at McIntosh go. That accomplishment follows others by women athletes this year.
Isn't she amazing?
Including Toronto's Summer McIntosh, who made a splash in Singapore, claiming 4 gold medals at the World Aquatics Championship. And then there's Victoria Mboko, also 18, who weeks ago stunned the tennis world, winning at the Canadian Open in Montreal. Though today fell short of expectations as she appeared at the U.S. Open for the first time, dominated by her Czech opponent, a 2-time Grand Slam champion. Still, for Canadian women in sport, overall, it's been an incredible and inspirational run.
What we can speak to is hoping that this is going to change participation rates for girls in sport in the future. If they can see it, they can be it, and they can be the next Brooke, Victoria, or Summer.
As for Brooke Henderson, she kept saying her latest victory seems surreal, adding it was a huge win for Canada and Canadian golf. John Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. officially returned to the Blue Jays lineup tonight as the designated hitter. The All-Star first baseman missed about a week with a hamstring injury.
Driven deep, center field.
Toronto will be looking to get back into the win column after yesterday's 5-3 loss in Miami. Tonight, they host the Twins in the first of 3 games at Rogers Center. Max Scherzer gets the start for the American League East leaders.
And just ahead, preparing for the big day. Little ones get a lesson on boarding the bus and the rules of the road, offering a peek at what's to come on the first day of school.
The start of the school year is right around the corner, a time filled with both excitement and anxiety.
That's especially true for kids who will be heading to class and board a bus for the very first time. CTV's Kimberly Johnson has more on a program helping new students and their parents prepare for the big day.
Your turn to go.
It's 4-year-old Logan's first step onto a school bus.
Just like you do at home.
With mom right behind, they're preparing for a big day.
A little bit emotional that he's going into school.
He's taking part in the First Riders program, run by Ottawa Student Transportation and the Ottawa Safety Council. He and other future kindergartners are learning all about the rules of the road and how to take the bus safely.
Good job.
Ahead of his first day.
He's a little bit more needs to know what's happening, and I'm a little bit, I like to know what's happening as well with the plans, so something like this is really good. Something like this is really helpful for kids that need the extra hand of what to expect.
You want to stay in the one line?
Kids learn how to wait for the bus.
Good job.
Get on and off. and cross the street. Asta says about 55,000 students across the city take yellow buses like these every year.
So there would be thousands of kindergarten students riding a bus for the first time each year. An event like today really goes a long way to reassure both students and parents that they can safely get to school and that it can be a whole lot of fun.
And drivers say it's helpful for those behind the wheel too, because safety is paramount.
I tell them, okay, there's going to be snow, so you might have to step over the snowbank and then get on the road, and kind of talk through all the little things that might happen so it's in the back of their head when it does happen.
Who are you going to sit next to? Maybe a new friend? Ooh.
For 3-year-old Rowan, this year is full of new possibilities.
Yep. Go ahead, bud. Up you go.
And with just a few more days until her first day of class, her parents are feeling relief.
It seems like they're going to just take good care of her.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
Great idea. Brings back memories, doesn't it? The first day of school.
It really does. And they're going to have way less anxiety because they know what's to come, and it's coming fast. And in the interim, we have, a little bit cooler temperatures, some rainy days this week, but it's not all bad.
Yes, we'll take another look at the summer vacation weather before we start talking about back to school forecasts, which, yes, that's coming fast and furious. One more look at the satellite and radar. We've got sunshine right now around the GTA, but we can't rule out the possibility of a few showers this evening. So just be mindful of that. Overnight looks to be mostly dry, partly cloudy, 12 for the low. Tomorrow's high, 21 degrees, a little on the cool side once again. Here's your 7-day forecast. Wednesday looks fabulous with all that sunshine, back into periods of rain for Thursday, Friday. Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but Omar Sachedina has you covered tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Natalie Johnson with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching and have a wonderful night.
Done just like that.